Welcome back. I missed you. Let's talk about TikTok, shall we? In a Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso. You know what the whole debacle was. There was a possibility of a ban in the US, and then it shut down, and then it came back. And the thing is, this affected the world. If you look at the platform and how it is often the heartbeat of content on this planet, what were the implications? And I called in one individual who would know exactly how to navigate this topic. We got a gamer, a tech expert, Grant Hines, to take us through what TikTok.
You DM me on TikTok. That's how I'm here, right?
Is that, yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's how it happened. But in terms of the platform itself, it's gigantic. It's part of the soul of the planet's content, and then you drop it out of a country. There's huge implications for that.
Yeah, it's massive. I think it is the heartbeat of conversation. I think it's one of the strongest algorithms that exist online, and that's threatening to a lot of US companies that also do their own social media. I think this is really what it boils down to, because it is I feel like TikTok in many ways is a more open platform.
Yeah.
It's, the algorithm will kind of like guide you into certain trains of thought. I think Western social media is a little bit more on rails, and they want you to think a certain way, if that makes sense.
Very much so.
They will often there's a lot of, that's where the antagonism comes from, right?
Yes.
It's a form of propaganda to not like certain things that your country is doing, for instance.
Yeah.
And the whole what's been happening in Palestine is a primary example of that. So America don't like not being in charge of the conversation, and that's very clear. With the inauguration, a vast majority of the people that were at the inauguration on Trump's side were people that own these platforms, like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
And that's a problem. Alarm bells should be ringing like immensely because of this, because it's a power play saying that we control what information you get and what you think of us, and to the point where we're happy just to remove social medias that disagree with our thinking. And the same thing, they'll be very critical of the CCP for doing that kind of thing as well. TikTok is actually banned in China, by the way. It's not available in China. Red Note is the app, by the way. Yeah. So if you want to try a TikTok alternative, Red Note's really cool as well.
Okay.
So Red Note is the alternative in China, but the same. It's like the pot calling the kettle black in a sense.
I got you. It's so fascinating, and you speak to a very, very interesting nuance there about it shuts down in that place. And every single billionaire wanted to crowd around it to try and get it back. So there was almost
desperate.
I was going to say to you now, there's desperation in controlling this particular narrative. And if you look at the globe itself, when other atrocities happen, I don't see billionaires coming together to buy any sort of resources there.
Well, billionaires only worry about how much they make. They're not worried about the good that their company is doing, or like, it's really frustrating to see that.
It really is.
Because here was a cool moment actually for people to show their true colors, and they did.
Yes.
And also Mark Zuckerberg going on to like Joe Rogan, and just backtracking a whole bunch of their employment policies. Those are things that we can be proud about, like in our constitution. It's knitted into the direction we want to go to as a people. We're not 100% there yet, right, as the South Africans, but it's something we can be super proud of. All of those policies that corporations are will implement at a whim and take away, right? We've knitted into the fabric of our constitution, and that's something that you can't do here, and we can be proud of that, because again, it leads to these moments where authoritarian, like charismatic leaders will come up and steal that narrative away and say things that get them the most attention. I don't think Trump cares about politics, and this is a completely different discussion. I don't think he cares about that stuff. He cares about the attention and if he's winning, right? So he will choose the road that takes him there, not the road that's best for the people. And seeing all of these social media websites do the same thing around him, it's like, oh, you're the same, and it sucks. So. Yeah, it really does suck. So be careful what you do on these apps.
100%. And just in closing, let's look at that's, I suppose, the sentiment of desperation. We were now looking at other apps that could help us feed the void, all right? And do you think that this particular drop opened up, like you said, Red Note now. I've never heard of Red Note in my life before. So do you think that that lapse there opened up another sort of a couple of spotlights and some other apps that are actually applicable in that space?
Well, yes and no. So Red Note's great. I love Red Note. I think it's a really cool thing, and they were very quick to implement cool technology, like really fast. Like
yes.
there's like a translate button now that happened like literally within a day. Yeah.
What?
Because most of it's in simplified Chinese, so to get into that is super cool. But it's also created a void where all these new social media companies like Meta wants to jump in and take. And remember, the ban, although it's come back, right? It's only a 45-day extension.
Yes.
So TikTok can still go away in the US.
Yes.
It's not free. It's like Trump has also painted this picture like he saved TikTok. He hasn't. He's just extended. Well, the law was there originally. There's been no extension. There's been a 45-day thing. TikTok were just proactive in just removing it from their servers.
Yeah.
Because also it costs money to have all these things operational. So they've re-implemented it for the next 45 days, and we'll see what happens. It might go away, or they might also, unfortunately, have to bend to an imperialist will.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we had this conversation because it's very revealing of certain human nature. However, I think that, communication and, freedom of speech, definitely very, very important. But this is a type of conversation we can spend hours chatting about.
Oh, yeah.
But for now, we just wanted to touch on it for you right here in the Feel Good Breakfast Show. And on to the other news from around your world. Carissa has all of those details.